Well, welcome everybody to the preparing to transfer session for this semester, spring 2025. We usually do this about at the start of each semester to get some information out there about what you might need to know if you're planning to transfer this semester or at some point in your time at Laurel Ridge. So my name is Caroline Walls. I'm one of the academic advisors here at the Middletown campus. I actually was a transfer student myself from Laurel Ridge to UVA, so this is definitely a path that I walked a few years ago. But I'll let the rest of my colleagues introduce themselves.
I'm Sadie Gargano. I'm also one of the advisors here. I did not go through the whole transfer process, but I did take community college classes back where I went to at New River Community College through dual enrollment, and then also during the summers when I was at Virginia Tech, which is where I went to school.
Hi, everyone. I'm Thomas Chalk. I'm also one of the advisors. I went to Northern Virginia Community College, studied psychology, then I transferred to Mason to study psychology.
And my name is April Stroh-Snyder. Some of you look familiar, others I might not have met yet. I joined the advising team last spring. My transfer experience was a little bit of a non-traditional student, so for some of you it might resonate. I did a semester right out of high school and then changed gears and went straight to work, and then came back many years later as a single parent and working full-time and wanting to get a degree. I graduated from Laurel Ridge with an associate degree, transferred to Shepherd University, and then went on to Wake Forest where I got my master's degree. So some of what I'll be talking about with you is just kind of planning and life considerations when you're deciding what school to go to next.
So we'll go ahead and get started here if you want to hop to the first. Oh, as a reminder, I guess, we'll wait to take questions at the very end of the presentation today, and then hopefully also cover any questions that we get on Zoom too. So if you have something and it's burning, write it down. We'll get back to it. So first things first, if you take nothing else away from this entire presentation, the number one thing that we encourage you to do is prepare early. You don't want to end up making a crucial mistake like Michael Scott did, eating a whole heavy carbo-loaded meal before running a 5K. That was bad preparation. We want to give you steps to make good preparation today as you get started, hopefully at the very, very start of your careers here at Laurel Ridge. So first thing, probably most of you that are in here are already in transfer-bound associate degrees, but just to give you kind of the difference between what that transfer associate's degree and a bachelor's degree is going to be. We do call those AS and AA degrees transfer degrees because they're meant to cover the general education classes that you would take in the first 2 years at a university if you were already at JMU or Virginia Tech or any school that you're hoping to get to. So what you're going to cover in really any of those transfer degrees, as you probably know because you're in the classes, is going to be core subjects, all different things, with the idea that you're going to cover your major classes later on when you transfer. So you do get to cover a few electives as part of your transfer degree, especially those of you who are in general studies. There's a big pocket of electives you can use up, hopefully towards things that are going to be part of your transfer program. But the reasons why you might transfer and complete that bachelor's rather than just an associate's. So a bachelor's degree is going to give you more of a chance to dive into that subject. You get a little taste here with the electives you're able to take, but being able to take those 300, 400 level courses in the major that you're really interested in will help you get more of a complete understanding of the subject. So it gives you the opportunity to become an expert. That's what you're in school for, right? Another thing that to consider about transferring to that 4-year school is that you'll be able to make more connections with different mentors and professors. Of course, you're making connections here at Laurel Ridge, but as the career services advisor at Laurel Ridge also, I'm here to tell you that the more connections you can make, the better. So that opportunity to be at your 4-year university and connecting to people in your field that might be able to help you get job opportunities later on, that's very valuable. Segueing right into the internship and experiential learning opportunities that you're also going to have at a university. We have some of that here, of course, but once you have more of that, subject intensive knowledge that you're gonna get in your 300 and 400 level major classes. You'll be more prepared for internships that are in the subject and job field that you're hoping to get into. So another good reason to transfer. So more data. These charts actually come from a page on our website. If you go to laurelridge.edu/jobs, there's a website called the Career Coach that will give you a lot of data about pretty much any job you can think of. So the data we have on here to give you as an example is about supply chain managers. Those are the people who work in the manufacturing industry, making sure that a company has the materials they need to make whatever product it is that they put out. So I would encourage you to take some time to go on that Career Coach site at some point and research whatever job it is you're hoping to get someday in the future, so that you can start to plan what kind of education you're going to need. That far side of the screen shows you a graph about this specific job. It looks like if you want to be a supply chain manager, bachelor's degree is far and away the choice that you're going to need. It looks like some have master's or professional degrees, but not too many with just an associate. So as an example, if this was the job you wanted, this kind of data would help you know how far you need to be planning to be in school. This chart over here, a little closer to me, is going to show you how many jobs of this type they project are going to be available in the next 10 years or so. Yeah. So hopefully all of you are going to pick jobs that the chart goes like this. But researching that now, just in case for some reason you pick something that is more trending down, it's good to know that in advance, right? So you have time to think and maybe consider other options. Again, planning ahead and preparing early is key to being successful at any of this. So, okay, so as you may have gathered from our conversation already about preparing, planning ahead, it's important to keep in mind that transferring is a process. It's not one day I decide to do this and it's done. It takes time to consider what school, establish your timeline, and then of course, submit all your materials by the deadlines. So that's what we're going to go over during the rest of this presentation today, is how to figure out the timeline, how to do that research, and then how to make sure your plan lines up with the plan that your school has, right? So we're going to go through some steps with you, and hopefully by the end, you have an idea how to get started thinking through what your next steps are going to be.
Okay, so the first step is establishing your timeline. So when are you wanting to graduate? You can either complete your associate's degree and then graduate then, or you could take classes and transfer before you complete your associate's degree. Kind of depends on what your personal plan is, maybe even what program you're going into. But that's a good thing to start with talking to your advisor about, is your general timeline, so they can help you make sure that you're taking the amount of classes that you need to reach your timeline and that it is what's best for what you're wanting to transfer to. If you are interested in just like a semester or just a year, not necessarily completing your whole associate's degree, the passport courses and the UCGS are great things to ask your advisor about. They're smaller packages of an associate's degree that will transfer with you. So when you transfer, those classes are guaranteed to be accepted by your Virginia school that you're transferring into, but it would not be a full associate's degree. The best time to start researching is at least a year before you're wanting to go. You're not wanting to wait until the last minute, just because that doesn't really give you a lot of time to plan all the things that you want to do. Giving yourself a year allows yourself to, if you need to do a program plan change, gives you time to, make up those classes you might need to do. It also gives you time to just plan really everything. You're not in a crunch period. The deadlines that you want to kind of keep in your head is usually the semester before that you're wanting to enroll is going to be when those deadlines are going to be. So if you're wanting to transfer somewhere to start in the fall, August classes, your deadline is almost always going to be March 1st. There are some schools, of course, that have later deadlines, but the vast majority, if you're starting in the fall, your application's due March 1st. Same with spring. So the semester before, it would be October 1st, almost always. Again, there's some that have different days, but it's good to plan with these two. And if it's later, then that's a happy surprise for you. Okay, so once you have your timeline, it is time to really start researching all the different options that you're wanting to do. We have a couple sites here that are good aids to kind of help you start your research if you have absolutely no idea, or if you have maybe like a couple ideas, but you want to kind of narrow it down to a more solid idea. So Thomas, if you could click on Transfer Partners, please. So this is a site called Transfer Virginia. This is on your My Little Ridge portal, so you can access this. If you wanted to use the URL, it's very simple too, but it is on your My Little Ridge, so you can just click on it. When you look at this, I think Thomas already did it, but the first ones that are going to be shown are community colleges, these ones here. So chances are you're not transferring to another community college, so just skip the 2-year transfer partners. 4-year transfer partners, these are broken up into 2 groups. The 4-year transfer partners, if you just scroll down ever so slightly, you'll see these are called future transfer partners. The only difference is that these schools listed right here might not have quite as much information as the ones above. Doesn't mean you can't transfer there or anything like that. It's just this specific website might not have as detailed information. These ones still have a lot of good information. They might just have as much as some of the other ones. So let's say you are absolutely completely undecided about where you want to go to school. You can click on one of these. We'll just use Virginia Tech. And it's going to give you a good idea of what this school would represent. So you get, most all of them have, you know, like a nice picture of the school, that their branding and everything. But sorry, Tom, scroll back up real quick. If you do the pink tab there at the top, and this will be on all of them, this is going to give you kind of the demographics of the school, where it's located, what type of area it's going to be. If you were really interested in like the mascot or the tech color or the colors, it'll show that too. And then this part down here is really nice because it'll tell you how big the school is. If you're wanting to go somewhere that's smaller, you can look to see, am I going to be in a class size with 40 some people in it, or is it going to be like 12? So you can use this to kind of first start off to get what the school's going to look like. You can collapse it. And then if you scroll down, it's going to give you a lot more information. So like under the academics tab, this is going to give you a good snapshot of all of the information here. So guaranteed admission agreements, this is something we're going to talk about in a little bit. A lot of the schools, if they have them, they'll have a link there so you can go directly there. And then it'll have tons of other information about their academics. If you go to admissions and financial aid, it'll go over these types of information. Some of these will even go over like their application stuff. So like this one here, you can see the application fee, letters of recommendation. Tech does not require that. Some schools might. Tech does not require an interview. Some schools might, that type of stuff. And then we can do important dates as well. This is going to tell you their application deadlines. A lot of them have financial aid deadlines on here. And then as you can imagine, all the other tiles are like that too. But if you will scroll to the bottom, then I'll show you my favorite one, helpful links. It will have the course catalog listed. This is incredibly important because you want to make sure the school you want to go to has the program you want to go to. So make sure you look at the course catalog to make sure that what you actually want to study is something that you can study there. But so you can do this for all of the different schools here. If you're, you know, like between like 3 and you want to find small details to maybe differentiate between which one you want to go to, this is a good place where you can do it kind of all in one place, but get the information in one. All right, I think that's all for that one so far. Okay, so researching your options. We are now going to go over some other resources that you have access to. So this is one of our websites. This is our transfer and events page. So if you scroll down, this is our lovely flyer for today that you guys all found. So you can skip past that, you know what that is. But these are a bunch of schools that are in Virginia. If you want to scroll down to JMU, just because they have a good example. A lot of transfer representatives come to Laurel Ridge and they'll set up tables and you can meet with them. JMU specifically, their transfer representative, you can set meetings with her and she can go over stuff with you if you're planning to transfer there. But almost all of them will at least have a contact for a transfer representative, which is going to be your best friend for where you want to transfer to, because they will answer any questions you could possibly have. We can answer some questions, but we don't work at all those schools, so we don't know all the details. But the transfer rep will, that's their specific job. They can walk you through anything when it comes to where you specifically want to transfer to. But yeah, so whichever school you're interested in or whatever schools you're interested in, you can use this link to kind of get some more information as well in your collecting of information. All right. I think this is the same link here. Yeah, that's the same link. Okay, so once you have your options, your resources, you want to look at different perspectives. This is where talking to professionals is a great idea. Your friends, family, mentors, professors, advisors, if you have questions or if you're kind of between two things, you don't know if something is what you want to do, getting different perspectives on your plan is a great way to kind of determine what you want to do. Specifically, again, your transfer reps, they're going to be your best friend. The sooner you reach out to them, the sooner you have more information to help make your decision. And then lastly, going over different guidelines for applying. Most schools have two options. You can apply competitively, which is kind of like the normal way, or you can use a guaranteed admission agreement for most Virginia public schools, which we're going to talk about next. So what is a GAA, guaranteed admission agreement? Like I showed you on the drop down on the tech page in Transfer Virginia, this is an agreement that the four-year schools have with the community colleges in Virginia that will allow students who complete their associate's degree at one of the Virginia community colleges guaranteed admission into that university once they apply, if they meet the qualifications that they set out. Usually they're GPA based. Some of them have very specific requirements about classes or specific grades you get in certain classes, or like the type of classes you've taken. Like some of them, if you have credits from multiple colleges, not all community colleges, it won't work. But most of them is based on GPA. So the sooner you find out, again, where you want to go, or you start making your plan, you can start looking at these guaranteed admission agreements to see the GPA requirements or other requirements that they want, so you can make sure that you meet those. So when it is time for you to apply, it's a little bit of an easier process. You are guaranteed admission into where you want to go. Now, let's say you look at the guaranteed admission agreement and you don't meet it. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Doesn't mean you're not going to get in anything like that. There are still plenty and plenty and plenty of students who apply to universities and get in without a guaranteed admission agreement. This is just a perk for community college students who complete their associate's degree within the qualifications that the university set out.
That's me. All right, well, thanks everyone for being here. Let's go ahead and start talking about various aspects of planning for the school. And switch to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about an academic plan. Something you've heard Caroline and Sadie say, and I'm just going to reiterate here, is meet with your advisor, review these things with your advisor. This is what we're here for. Creating an outline of your classes. You're given several tools. Some of them are in Navigate. But why I'm encouraging meeting with your advisor is because we need to know what your goals are. It's important to us. We want you to be successful. We want you to succeed. Let us know, even if your goal changes, because what we're going to do is help you establish that plan, a plan that works for you and ensures that you're meeting all the checks and the boxes for your next steps. Outlining your classes and kind of creating a tentative schedule is a great way to be proactive. Sometimes us advisors, we kind of know what's going on between semesters too. If you're a business student in here and you've met with me, then you probably know there are certain classes that are offered in certain semesters. So it's important that we work together to make sure that you're meeting your graduation deadline and the goals for yourself. The other thing is you want to choose courses wisely. So as Sadie was talking with you about some of those guaranteed admissions agreements, or even just looking at roadmaps for different colleges. This is the school I want to go to. What classes do they want me to have? Together, we can kind of work on helping you choose those classes. For some of you, general studies, other programs, you may have elective options. Laurel Ridge will give you your degree if you take Art 101, but is that the class that Virginia Tech wants you to have? This is why it's important to kind of really be proactive about mapping out your academic plan if you know you want to transfer. Let's talk about grades too when it comes to academic planning. Some of you have heard this. A D will get you a degree here at Laurel Ridge. It's a passing grade, but it's not transferable to the four-year school. So again, meet with your advisor. Let's talk about the classes that maybe you need to retake, have some improvement in. Transfer advisor will give you the same information as we will when it comes to grades. But that's also another important academic consideration. And again, let us know if the plan changes. You're allowed to change your plans, but just let us know about it. Next slide. All right, so another factor in considering, colleges and schools of, what's your personal plan? What are your support systems? Where's your family? Who are the important people in your life? What other responsibilities do you have? Do you have career, job-related commitments? Do you need to find a school that's within, drivable distance from where you live? Do you have other responsibilities? Are you a caregiver to someone else? Those are all things that we take into consideration when we consider making bigger commitments, like going to a four-year school. Just here's a list here of just some non-academic considerations on top of, your personal life, but housing, transportation, how far away the school is going to be. Are you going to live on campus, off campus? Will you need a roommate? Accessibility to other things off campus. Some of our colleges are in pretty rural places of the state. Is that where you want to be? So checking out their neighborhoods, checking out the areas where the school is, those are all other things to consider when you're choosing a college. And next slide. Okay, let's talk about finances. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the federal financial aid application, FAFSA. That is generally the first place to start. A lot of other financial aid options in every institution that you go to are going to start with completing your FAFSA. And that can also open the door for you to be eligible for other scholarships, perhaps some grants, things that you didn't know about. Private colleges in the state, they have other resources, but completing that FAFSA is going to be an important step. The way the FAFSA works is the application, which some of you may know, opened in December for the next year, for the 25-26 year. What you need to know is that application is not funding for now, it's funding for the future. So just pay attention to those application dates, know what semester you need to have that done, and also pay attention to the four-year school. Some of you here at Laurel Ridge haven't experienced so many financial aid deadlines, but at the four-year level, they're going to have a deadline. If you don't submit your FAFSA to that school, just like you have an application deadline, you may not get a financial aid package. So as you're looking for those application deadlines, pay attention to their financial aid deadlines as well. Some other opportunities that some of you may know about, and this slide or this slideshow will also be available online after today so that you have access to these links. They're very nice, especially this scholarship page here. Laurel Ridge has a scholarship application. It takes about 5 minutes to fill it out. You can fill it out every semester. I encourage you to do that. There's lots of dollars out there that the school knows about, and we want to help. So I encourage everyone to fill that application out. The other thing for you folks who are going to transfer, there's this 2-year college transfer grant. Now, there are requirements for that related to the GPA and kind of your programs of study, but please check that out. Those are grant dollars. Remember, grant is dollars that you do not have to pay back. That's the kind of money we want to fund school, right? So I encourage you to check out that 2-year college transfer grant that's specific to transfer students, and there'll be a link here where you can access it. Another research tip, if we can go back to Transfer Virginia real quick. Almost there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to show you something really cool in this pink tab here that I just discovered recently, and I want to share it with you. Let's go ahead and scroll up. Let's go to VT Facts. Now, just as Sadie had mentioned, you're going to see the same kind of setup here for all of the colleges. This net price calculator here and that pink tab is going to take you to that college's website to help you calculate about how much tuition is going to cost for you to go there. Now, it may not be exact or precise because every individual student has, kind of their own financial factors that would contribute to that. You may be eligible for other grants, scholarships, and opportunities. But in general, you're going to get an idea of what the cost of that four-year institution the next 2 years is going to be for you. Okay, so that's just another tip. Thanks, Thomas. Then there's the application plan. Now, Sadie touched on this. Let's just go over real quick some information to have. Setting up an appointment with a transfer advisor is key. Okay, this is your introduction to the next college. You want them to know you. You also want to get all of the best information that you can so that you can make an informed decision about your future. Also, you want to submit the best application possible. So connecting with a transfer advisor is going to be key to doing that. That's your ticket. That person's going to have those answers for you. They're also going to let you know all the things that you need for submitting an application. A few tips that I just want to point out, when you schedule your transfer advising appointment, it's incredibly important to have a copy of your unofficial transcript with you. That's accessible to you in SIS. Go into your student portal. There's some instructions here on how you can access that. Have that with you for those appointments. That way you can give good information and make that time valuable for everyone. That advisor is going to be able to give you better concrete information if they know what classes you've taken, what GPA you have, and you're going to want to have all that information with you for those appointments. And just to kind of reiterate what Sadie said too, keeping track of your deadlines, knowing when those applications are due, when your financial aid is due, and who you can contact if you have questions for your application. And meet with your advisor.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of information, covered a lot of topics. Just want to do a little recap here as we're kind of coming towards the end of this presentation. What are the important things that you're going to want to make sure you consider in your transfer process? Number one, checking in with what your interest, needs, and wants are as you go. Like April said, that may change. You may start out your first semester here at Laurel Ridge wanting to be an art major at Sweetbriar, and then by the time you're in your last semester saying, I want to study biology at JMU, you could change very significantly. That's kind of the point of being in school, right? You want to grow and change and figure out a little more about yourself so that you can become the best version of you that you can be. So hopefully some change will happen while you're here, but making sure you're taking note of those and adjusting your plans as those changes happen is going to be important. Again, gathering the information early that you need is going to help you, especially if you do need to pivot later on. Making sure that you know a wide array of information gives you more options when you're doing the pivot, right? When you're not sure where to turn, that's a lot scarier than if you've researched well in advance what your options might be. So I would encourage you to research a bunch of options early on, make yourself aware. Then deciding where you want to attend, at least deciding what few schools you do want to apply to. That's going to be important as well. As you saw on that Transfer Virginia page, there are a lot of schools in the state, right? You're probably not going to apply to all 20 some that there are. You're probably going to pick a top 3 or so that you're going to apply to and really hope to get into. So making that decision, narrowing down from that big list to just a few, that's going to be a big part of your process too. And then last, you've heard this 87 times today, but working with your advisor to make sure that the plan you have in your head is matching what the school is wanting you to do in order to be there in the future, that's important. We can help you with that if you let us know what's going on. So the sooner you make those advising appointments and make sure to keep us up to date with what changes happen, the better it's going to go for you as well.
Okay, so you are almost done. You're about ready to graduate. Very exciting and probably very relieving as well. You have to apply to graduate. So this is going to be here and at your next schools. You always have to apply to graduate just so the records department can get everything done and everything. But before you apply to graduate, if you do this the semester before, so like let's say you are graduating this spring 25 semester, if you applied to graduate during the fall semester, you would have been given priority enrollment. You would have been able to enroll in classes a week before everyone else. So I would assume that most of you are probably not 100% there. If you are, you're in your classes and it's fine. If you're not, just remember this in the back of your head. So when you're about ready to graduate, you can apply the semester before your last and get in those last classes before everyone else. And then once you apply to graduate, you're good to go, finish your classes, and then you can come to graduation commencement, go on to your next step.
All right, so this is a time for questions. We're gonna hang out here. Does anybody have any questions?